Hello, everyone. This is Kelly Beard of Karmic Tools, and we are getting together tonight to follow up on the Olokun rising ritual we did and to discuss the energetic support just surrounding us this spring and this summer so we can really get the most out of that. I would love to hear how things have been going, but right now, let's just unify the circle, allow a few more people to dial in or catch up online. They're all just getting the link because I've had a few email challenges, so that's why we need to just breathe together. Friday, let's let go of the week, let's let go of the day, and just be here now. So take a deep breath in, making that connection above, below, and at the heart. Deep breath in. And hold and release. I invite our benevolent angels and loving ancestors and personal animal guides and helping spirits to be with us tonight. We each have a powerful, invisible team of support, and is even more potent when we bring them together like this. So I want you to focus at your heart, breathe really deeply as if you're breathing through and from your heart, and make that connection with the direction of the east and the element of air. This is where we access the inner wisdom of the mind. Feel that expansion right at the heart. Deep breath in. And hold and release. Turn to honor the direction of the south, where we honor the element of fire and connect with the inner wisdom of the spirit. So come on into your solar plexus. This is where we feel that fire of the sun. Picture that golden crystal, whatever works for you, and take a deep breath in to your power center. Deep breath in. And hold and release. Come on down into your creative center while I turn to honor the direction of the west and the element of water, and we make that connection to the inner wisdom of the soul. Make your own connection right there. Deep breath in. And hold and release. And come on down into the root chakra. Be here now as we connect to the element of earth and the inner wisdom of the body. Deep breath in. And hold and release. So, welcome everyone. I especially welcome Dr. Rashawn to, like I said, help me guide you this evening with the questions or the topics that we really want to go deep into. First, out the gate, I would like to just talk about the energy and the cycles and like kind of where we're at energetically, and then we can dive in from there. Then I did choose a meditation we can do together before a drum journey, if you like, if everyone's feeling up to it by the end of this, called Taking Back the River. It is from Chapter 10, Clear Water, Nourishing the Creative Life Out of Women Who Run with the Wolves. So it's one of the ways we want to honor the water within our body, our emotions, our feelings, what I always refer to as our energetic flow, our creative flow, and our cash flow. Water is just up. So what prompted that ritual, that I was really pressing Yeye to do it at a specific time, April 12th, was the day that Jupiter and Neptune got together in the sky in Pisces for the first time in 165 years. So anytime two or more planets get together, it is an initiation. So we are literally initiating a 165-year new cycle. We're ending one and preparing to begin one. But this is a place with Jupiter there every 12 years. This is an awakening of consciousness around it. So they haven't been together this whole time. Jupiter comes around and taps Neptune every 12 years, but it's always a different sign. The fact that it's Pisces is what brought in the oceans, the rivers, all the waters of the world, brought it to our attention. And then after we sort of rang the bell, it did spread across the globe because Yeye and I both have pretty international circles. And everyone wants to do this next year and continue to do it annually. So here we are on Earth Day, April 22nd, getting together. So I think that's kind of magical and supportive as well. But this is bringing that attention. So rather than being overwhelmed by the plight of the waters of the world, I like to look at the energy, the cycle, see where we're at with it, right? So it just so happens that we are getting together on April 22nd as of April 27th, there will be Venus and the moon there in Pisces together initiating a new cycle of feminine wisdom. We have Neptune and Jupiter are there as well, and then it was Juno and Mars. So Juno is what we do with our commitments and partnerships and collaborations, and Mars is who you are and what you want in your sacred masculine. That is, the way I define it, is how we negotiate on our own behalf, get our ideas in the world, and hold good boundaries. The feminine within us, this is all within men and women, is the part of us that contains, nurtures, protects, and develops, and just holds that container, right? So all this energy is in Pisces. So on one hand, there's this huge ending vibration. There is a culmination anytime a bunch of planets get to the last sign in the zodiac. We also look at Pisces ruled by Neptune. Historically, it's also been ruled by Jupiter as well. So that also puts them in their rulership place, makes them double powerful, triple powerful, really. And then you bring in the personal planets, and that's why we're all feeling it too. So what's happening, I think, in the bigger cycle, there's Uranus and Taurus for the first time in 84 years, waking up Mother Earth. What's happened is Earth's frequency, its vibratory frequency as of 2012 has more than doubled in this time. And so you have to think electricity. You have to think the water being a conduit. You have to think that if the motherboard, the electrical system of her body is being upgraded, we have to upgrade too to function. If we don't tend to our physical bodies in certain ways, we're getting more and more disconnected from Mother, and it's making us ill. So this is another call back to nature in a big way to bring us back into the little tiny ways we can contribute and make a difference in, let's say, Mother's restoration and ability to restore herself and heal certain things. If she can heal, then we can heal. So we're making all those connections and kind of going back to the womb in a certain way that asks you to develop a new vision for life now that you know that the frequency is higher, which means we sort of have to lighten up our physical body to be able to handle more gigahertz, let's say, more electricity moving through, more light moving through, more flow, more energetic flow, more of the water and the fluids to be able to flow freely. We know stagnation is the enemy, so we're doing everything we can to open the channels that need to be open and close the ones that are overflowing or in trouble in whatever way, that we don't need those paths anymore. We're closing certain bridges and paths and directions that we no longer have to go back to. Like, I remember this used to come up years ago, and it's one of the cycles that's back, is that I said we're crossing a bridge and it's disintegrating behind us. Not because there's anything bad back there, but because there's nothing for us back there. We're going forward. So this energy of the womb developing the vision aspect of things going on right now, that's where you want to tap into your own imagination, your third eye. Is that the Iwaju? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. And our Ori, our crown chakra. We're engaging that connection that connects us to our higher selves, to our ancestors and angels and animal spirit guides, so that we are getting the direct information and unfiltered by the culture, by the world, by the internet or whatever, right? This is a way that we are also taking back our power to source our own wisdom and energy and understand, again, where the support is. So the other thing you'll hear me say a lot of times is that everything is a response to the last thing in preparation for the next thing. So where we had a big opening in Aquarius right before Pisces time, which would have been like February, there was a whole dynamic where Venus was resetting things, and then Mars caught up with her, and they reset together in Aquarius, a cycle that it's probably been 32 years, I think, since we've had access to this kind of sovereignty, freedom, and independence within the context of our relationship. So as that got reset in Aquarius, Saturn is there for the only time in 30 years. So whatever we anchor in terms of our own sovereignty and independence at this time can last us the next 7, 14, 21, 28, 30 years. So we're completing a 30-year cycle and we're initiating a 30-year cycle. We're completing a 12-year cycle and initiating a new 12-year cycle. There's so many converging right now. So that's the other reason it can feel overwhelming or it can feel really intense. And as the water energies get stirred up, of course, our emotions, our feelings are reactive, or, our responses start getting triggered. And then you got to go back into your own center, into your power, and what's happened in your childhood or in your development years that led to here. Because Pisces also triggers our irrational fears. So the antidote to that is go into the Virgo. Virgo is opposite of Pisces. Virgo is back into your body, into what's practical for here and now, and how much your system can actually handle. And so the idea is for us to be connected to God and spirit on the Pisces side and our intuition, but always know that it's housed in this body, in this system. And Virgo rules systems. You know how we have the circulatory system, the respiratory system. We have all these individual systems that work on their own, but also have to work together. Virgo is the weaver like that. It weaves all those things together to allow it to function. So it doesn't matter how far out into spirit world we go and how wonderful and dynamic and brilliant and beautiful and imaginative it could be. If we don't dial it back into here and now in our bodies and our practical, or let's say a practical application, or our spiritual practices, which is also what's getting upgraded right now, then we lose that power. We lose that connection to build when it comes to Aries time and start to initiate. So, Dr. Rashawn, can you hit star 6 and jump in here? Talk to me.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. Thank you for that overview, Kelly. I think the main thing that jumped out for me was whatever you develop as relates to your sovereignty and independence now can last for 7 or 14 years, right? So that at this point, we all need to be very, very aware of how we want to do this next decade or so. And how do we set up for the next decade, yes?
Yes. I can give you some frame of reference also with that, because 2012 was an awakening, and a lot of the energies we just experienced in 2020 were similar to 2012. So I've asked people to think about 2013 and 14. What was the outcome of the awakening you had around 2012? What did you end up committing to, making your choices or creating containers for in 13, 14? Because now we're back in that zone where we need to do new commitments. Things have run an 8-year course. The values and priorities have shifted, and we need to create a new roles and responsibilities, new commitments, and new containers for our creative ideas. If we can do that, we can blossom in 23, 24. But we need to do this basic fundamental shift right now. This is a Capricorn theme, which has to do with home and work and self versus other for everyone. And so there's this recalibration, especially after COVID and all that madness. We are resetting how we go back into any kind of social circles or educational circles or private circles or public circles or whatever. Whatever we're going to do next, we have to choose that, again, with that sovereignty. How much is enough? I've never been a big crowd girl. Like, I like the 13 goddesses and I'm good. I don't like 500 people in big crowds. But you get to choose, you know. Some people love that. They feed off that energy, and that's fine. There's a place. But right now we have to really check in with our systems and how much we can handle, and check in with the value shifts that have happened over the last 8 years that are sort of behind all this. The cracking open we all just got was an ugly, dark, challenging way to learn how to make our own choices around home and work again. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
It opened up what was possible, but nothing's anchored yet because we haven't been able to commit yet. We haven't been able to choose anything yet. So this is the development in the womb. You know, the seeds germinate in the darkness. We're a little confined, but we're also simultaneously provided for. So in this moment, developing the vision, what would make you the most free post-2020? And you need to know it goes back further than 2012. The exact same cycle happened around September 11th that we just went through with this pandemic. So it's the same cracking down of our freedoms and our sovereignty and kind of creating that one world order they want us to follow, which is a bunch of nonsense. So we have to retain, the best we can do is to hold our own structures so that we're not assigned anything, right? So that they can't take over. If you can hold your own, they can't really mess with you. So this is where that independence and sovereignty gets serious.
Okay. A number of people ask what effect these planetary configurations will have in spousal relationships or romantic relationships, particularly for those people who are making shifts in their spousal relationships or wanting to call a new spousal relationship.
Yes. Okay. So Venus is our go-to girl for that, Oshun. But she has an 18-month cycle. We do 9 months of release work, 9 months of reclamation. This is one of my monthly circles that I host. But where she's at from November of 21 through March, almost to the beginning of April of 22, right where we are now, she's been in Capricorn. The last time she did that was 2013. Capricorn brings up roles and responsibilities. So I always tell people, if you last in a relationship, a house, a job, a community, whatever, 8 years, it's time to renegotiate. And if you've clocked along with the pivot points of Venus, which is 5 times over in that 8-year cycle, she retrogrades. So every 18 months when she retrogrades, when she pauses and slows down and stays somewhere for 4 months instead of 3 weeks, which is what's normal for her, then it's our chance to pause and check in with ourselves every 18 months as individuals, how our values and priorities have shifted. And we're all in that zone now. So I was going to give you a little bit of Venus stuff because that activation is right now and feeding into our Pisces work as well. And we're clearing the victim archetype. And again, preparing ourselves to be able to reclaim at the throat chakra, which is our voice, our authentic voice and how we express. 9 months from now, we're going to be in new territory. We're going to be able to express at a higher level, but only if we can clear this energy. So the things that popped up for relationships, it is completely natural that every time she retrogrades, there's some cracks in the system for everybody. Everybody needs to kind of check in. What I do is try to tell people, let's not make anyone right, wrong, good, or bad. Let's just say it's time to check in. Hey, baby, that used to work. That used to turn me on. I used to be attracted to that. I'm not attracted to that no more. Let's do this another way. Then it kind of takes the pressure off of anyone being right or wrong and says, okay, we shift, we grow over that 18 months. Then if you go 8 years, like I said, that's even bigger. And so you'll hear people talk about the 7-year itch. That's Saturn testing the reality. When we all get tested at the 7 years, and again, it happens in relationships, any kind of partnership, any kind of schooling, any kind of community or home, 7-year cycles are big. You can definitely tap into that. And if you get your reality check at the 7, that means automatically the values and priorities have to change at the 8. So we get to the 8-year mark, and all of a sudden, everybody's got different priorities, so we got to negotiate again. You get to the 9 or the 10, I look at that as a complete cycle for relationships to run their course. That is half of a life path. What I see the most is people going 19 or 20 years and breaking with the North Node cycle because they get together, have the kids, raise them to 20, and then they break because they've walked a path together. Now they want to walk in different directions. So there's different cycles that are active, but Venus is the relationships and finances, so that's why I went to her first. Right now, like I said, this Venus in Pisces energy, let me just run this down real quick. We have to let go of the old dreams, the old belief systems, and the old ways of creating with our imaginations. Like we really have been upgraded to a certain extent. So we need to be thinking bigger where we've been too narrow, and we probably need to narrow some things down where we've been too expanded, too expansive. So it's impossible because it's kind of, you need those steps to get it done, get the big one done. But the shadow of Pisces is all the victim consciousness or the overwhelm. We're releasing toxins from our system, from the waters. We can call that in and call that light, that healing light that does what it does to help us. Addictions, distractions, lack of self-control. The only time other forces need to control us is when we can't control ourselves. So it's important that we set these structures up in a way that can grow with us. So right now, boundaries are all important. And so if you have run the course in a relationship and you don't think you can renegotiate to upgrade together, then you want to break as clean as possible so you're not creating more karma. And with Capricorn energy that we've been immersed in and Pluto there to help purify, we're recognizing things that we took on out of obligation instead of by choice. And when that happens, you wake up to that. You have to be able to talk about that with the people you're involved with. And where we're at, and these hard conversations are finally up. But I will say this, Mercury's about to retrograde. So you might want to hold off a little bit longer unless you're super clear. We have a couple of days, April 30th or whatever day Pluto goes backwards. We've also had 90 days. Right now, it was February, March, and April with all planets direct. Usually we get about 20 to 30 days. We don't get 90 days. So that was interesting to me. I'm really tracking to see how that's going to play out by the end of the year. But for us right now in the Pisces realm, boundaries are all important. Your own sensitivities, what you're picking up to be able to discern for yourself what is relevant and useful, what is going on with the hidden potential versus the blind spot. We want to ask these questions along the way. There's a super nurturing principle underlying things, so we absolutely have to do things the beauty way, the feminine way. You're not going to get it done trying to steamroll or, strong arm or whatever you want to do where you force your will. It's more like create the space and allow spirit to bring in that perfect form that you need. Whatever it is, connect to the essence, whether it's a partnership or a project or whatever you're working on right now. The energetic support we have for this sovereignty is big, and being able to commit at a deeper level, like that Juno-Mars combo I was talking about too, says that we can be committed to oneness and unity and compassion and all that goodness, but Mars keeps us sovereign. Mars is still about you, the individual, and knowing who you are and what you want within the context of your relationships, partnerships, and collaborations. So, again, with the big reset we talked about, the 165 years, that's pretty big. But for us, we're going to look at the 12-year cycle. So last time Jupiter was in Pisces was 2010. What was going on in your consciousness then? What were you surrendering? What was coming to a close? What was activating you on deeper levels, again, where it might have been triggering fears and phobias and different insecurities, or maybe the overwhelm, right? And what was the outcome? What ended up happening in 2011 to 2012 as you came out through that Pisces into the Aries energy, which is around the corner? So we want to kind of take advantage of basking in this water because the fire is going to be intense on its own.
Okay.
And the eclipses we haven't even talked about. So that's affecting relationships too, y'all. That is the Taurus-Scorpio eclipses always coincide with relationship changes. Again, I think it's because of power dynamics shifting and the values shifting. And so let me pull that out. There's some years. 2012 to 14 was the last time we had Taurus-Scorpio eclipses. And before that was 2002 to 2005. So remember, again, we want to think of the outcome for those of us old enough to remember after September 11th. What did you do then? What did you commit to? What did you believe in? What were you pursuing? And how are those themes coming back around? And how can you do it in a better way? So here's my theory on the cycles. Cycles repeat throughout our lives. They have the same rhythm over and over and over. What changes is the sky pattern. So like right now with Uranus and Taurus, the last time it was there was right after the Depression in the 30s. So we're also looking at a lot of those themes coming back. At the same time, back then, all the other planets were somewhere else. So we have a new alchemical mix of energy to use at this or direct on our own behalf at this time. And then you're different. The people around you are different. Your circumstances are different. So even though cycles repeat, we can respond in new ways every time they come back around. And that's why I keep referring to these past years. And 2010, 11, 12 is just big. It's a lot of that energy is back right now.
Okay.
Taurus Scorpio also brings up what we're building and acquiring and creating for the long term, as well as what we let go of, purify and distill back to its essence. So we do go through a lot of life-death situations around those years, and we lose people. A lot of people leave the planet, and it's all divine order. It's not easy, but it's divine.
Mm-hmm. 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 Does anybody on the call have questions that they want to clarify that is specific to how they are going through this next cycle?
Yes, you can star 6 to unmute yourself, and then you'll star 6 to mute yourself back. I would say if you have any Pisces, Virgo energy, or Gemini, Sag energy activated in your chart, then you are feeling this most directly. The rest of us will have it ruling an area of life. So that's why I asked if anyone wanted to know where that is for you, the individual, you can email me your birth date, time, and place, and I'll send you back where you're being activated and what's coming up. Because those areas of life matter. For example, all the Aquarius and Pisces energy is showing up in my 3rd house, which is how you think and express, and my writing and publishing is all up right now. So there's this whole renewal that I can totally tie back to the early 90s, the last time Saturn was in Aquarius and these other cycles, like I've been tracking forever. So anything you can remember, I know that's challenging and that's a different way for people to think. But, yeah, feel free to star 6 and ask anything you like.
Okay, Marjan just asked me about something about where Virgo was in her chart. So let me just see if I could do a quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
if she knows her rising, I could figure it out from there.
Okay, so Sun in Virgo, Moon in Virgo, Venus in Virgo, and Ascendant in Virgo.
Okay, so that's all 1st house. That's all her identity and her personal energies opposite all this Pisces, so there's an integration going on. But the thing is, the Pisces part is on the relationship side. The Virgo is her individual side. And so what ends up happening there is when you have Virgo rising, and this would apply to anyone with Virgo rising, and then to have those extra personal planets there, this lifetime you are learning how to trust your own intuition. And then what ends up happening is the lesson of trust comes up with other people. And the way we learn that usually is by people letting us down or betraying our trust. So then you start to learn how that works for yourself because it is different for everyone. The Pisces on her relationship side says she has to follow her intuition where relationships are concerned. And it ends up being self-preservation because that Virgo on the individual side is her system can only handle so much anyway. So whatever overwhelms the system has to go. It has to be recalibrated or rebalanced. But it's deep because in order for her to know, and this is anyone with this dynamic on this axis, is Pisces ruled by Neptune means there is this little blurred vision, let's say, or disillusionment with partnerships. So the way that I've dealt with that, because I have a bunch of Virgo as well, but no Pisces, is to negotiate up front and to really make sure that my needs are met up front. And then we can have all the dream fun in the world you want. But we got to handle business first. So that's where I might also recommend that you treat family like a business and business like a family, meaning having more boundaries and protocols with the intimate partnerships and being a little bit more laid back on her professional offerings to the world, you know. And it is first forcing the Gemini Sag to grow. That's our consciousness. So this is another way where we've been cracked open in our consciousness, and I always tell people this too. We can change our minds in an instant, but our physicality takes longer. So we've had the last 2 years has been very mental gymnastics. It's been a lot of ideas and concepts and beliefs. Now, Taurus Scorpio brings the embodiment phase. So now we're going to find out in those Virgo and Capricorn and Taurus, or all our earth signs, are going to be triggered by this. All the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, they're going to be triggered by this too. Not in bad ways. This is amplifying the power of earth and water. But, again, it brings us back into our body and our emotions, which is the two things most people deny with food and pharmaceuticals. They dumb it down. They dull their senses. That's why if we have good boundaries, then we don't need to do that. We don't need to escape or have addictions or go through those changes. But it comes back to enforcing your boundaries. And so I always say self-preservation is not selfish. It's essential. And then Yeye came in and took my stuff to a whole nother level. She said self-preservation is the first law of nature. So we don't go against nature, people. And then that's what I tell people, too. As we get back into the body, you realize that this is the vehicle for this planet. You want to be on other planets, you need a different vehicle. This planet requires this vehicle, which means we got to maintain the body. So all these people living in virtual reality, this is where the split is happening. We cannot serve two masters. We cannot be divided this way and have our virtual reality and our real reality so drastically different. That doesn't work for humans. And so you got, again, with the sovereignty, you got to call it back. I have people every day. I just had another one. She's having trouble getting my emails, but she wants to talk to me on Facebook. I'm like, no, I don't want a third party between me and the people I want to talk to. I need to just talk to you directly. That's it. I'm done with third parties. So I'm taking it back. Corporations and chemicals out of my house as best I can. They don't make it easy. It's impossible to get it all out, but we got to try. This is, again, with dialing back into your sovereignty and what's important to you and where you're willing to play the game and where you're not, you know. And I already know for myself that I'm not willing to play certain games in the world, so I'm not going to be part of certain tribes. That's just the way that goes. And it's all good. That's where we get to reclaim.
Day, you had some questions about relationships. Do you want to open up and ask your questions?
Yes, thank you. So I did send you, Kelly, my birthday and one email. I'm Aries Sun, Aquarius Moon, and a Leo rising. I don't have any water in my chart whatsoever, but I do have Sagittarius in 3 different places, Jupiter, Neptune, and, it's just 2 places.
That's big. That makes this Jupiter and Pisces part of your cycle, your personal individual Jupiter cycle, that 12-year cycle that moves in 3-year increments. So you can actually probably loosely track right now back to 2010 and go 3-year increments. So 2010, 13, 16, 19, and 22. Would all be years where Jupiter in the sky would have touched Jupiter in your chart, expanding your world, opening your consciousness, and again, you'll be making those connections. I tell people we learn something every year, but you stack 3 of those together, and your consciousness shifts. So you're definitely upgrading your truth and story and your belief systems, and it's personal.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I'm tracking with this is that there was a lot of attention on belief system, stating or finding my place in the world, my professional world, and shifting into my own business and back into institute. It's kind of interesting, actually, to track all of this. But the thing with romantic relationships is that wasn't a big focus at the time. But now where I am is acknowledging that I would like to partner with someone versus before my work, the way I show up in the world as a professional has been most important. But at this time, I would like to bring in more romantic, intimate relationships.
Okay. So then how did it go for you in those years I mentioned, like 2010, 11, 12, and 13, around relationships and partnerships?
Those were some rough years.
Okay. So
those were some really, really rough years.
Another way. We're not going to do that the same way. This
That's
is another
exactly.
chance to do that consciously. I think if you've got, you said Aries sun, what was your rising? Leo?
Yes, Leo.
Okay. So then that would put Virgo on the second. So, yeah, your value houses and things, like everything is being affected and upgraded by that Jupiter placement right now, this year. So you're going to get some energy or, let's say, access to claiming that vision, whatever that is, for that partnership. And what I would upgrade is just like you said, if those were rough years for dealing with other folks, how can you do that better and more, again, sovereign and self-contained because of that Aries part of you that's also being healed and integrated in a certain way. Like you had to grow into a certain place before you can magnetize the right partner, which is a vibrational match for you. We wanted to raise the vibe and then magnetize. So right now, that's what you should be most focused on is how do I raise my vibration? Like you said, step into your power, into your own calling in the world and what you are called to so that you're secure in who you are and what you're doing, and any partner just adds to that. Because so often I see women give up all that to have a partner, and they bend and twist and give up certain aspects of self just to have a partner. If you don't already have the dream partner, I would say anchor yourself first so that that person that does come in is a complement and doesn't get to take over, you know. And
I think that's
critical,
a very good point about you first have to raise your vibration before you magnetize, or you'll be magnetizing at that lower vibration.
That's right.
Undermine you.
And if you're holding on to old stuff, you're blocking your blessing there too. So it's important for you to call in that new vision right now to develop. And then I always say sign that little note of intentions or whatever your list is to Spirit with this or something greater, because Spirit always knows better what you need than you do. So I will make my list and I will write my prayers out, but I always say this is something greater, whatever is in my highest, for my highest good. Bring it in with ease and grace. That's the other thing. We don't want to suffer to find love. We don't want to have to struggle and sacrifice like that. It should be ease and grace when we have that complementary partner. And right now is the time to be dreaming that up. Like I'm more thinking about my public partnerships and collaborations and things I want to do because I've been married for 30 years. But that's solid. It evolves. It grows over time. But I'm a tracker, so I'm keeping up with that. But this is big relationship growth for everyone. I've had a ton of calls about breakups and people meeting people and then old love circling back and things like that. So be mindful because, again, these choices might seem insignificant right now, but they're playing into the root of, they're feeding the root of what's going to grow by the end of this year. Right now, we're still in a kind of a clearing our own space, our own inner space. Right now, there's a purification vibe going on where we want to fast if you can, or do a detox, or do something physical that matches the spiritual intent you have, because then that backs it up with spirit and our orishas and the energies that support us. Try to pick one easy thing that you can do. Recalibrate your masculine feminine, how you decide what you're going to act on and the things that you are creating space for. Think about the channels. That's another way we want to think of opening the channels for the right people to get to you and the good boundaries so that any negativity or lower vibrations are deflected away from you. So we do have a visualization for that. One of my teachers told me we have all of us have 12, let's say, guardian angels that are like 1,000 feet tall. They're bright white. And what was new about that vision, I've heard that vision over the years. What was new this time is that she said the back of them were mirrors. So they not only protected and poured light into us as individuals, but they deflected energy that doesn't belong in our field as well. And I kind of like that visual. So you can play with that. We're in a place where commitment and partnerships and things, we should be redefining those and claiming what is going to be quality nutrient for your soul in that partnership, even if it is a professional thing. Like, I want it to be nutritious. I want it to be substantive when I get with people. I want everyone to feel like they got something out of it and well fed. Like, that's the cancer in me. I want to feed everybody. Right now, what would that be for you? Because you're weaving your new story. Think about the culmination of 12 years and the initiation of a new 12-year cycle. Think of the untapped resources you want to call up. Here's the other thing that we're in again, with the response to the last thing, preparation for the next. So Pisces Virgo lunation just happened in March, right around equinox. So we had this ending vibe right as we had the new beginning of spring equinox happening. That is the culmination. We're still in completion mode, but in the next month, a lot of the energies are going to shift into Aries, and we're going to have this fiery impulse to act on something or to make a choice. What needs to be clear at that point is this is your one time of year, sometimes at Leo too. I'll give Aries and Leo time to give people permission to be selfish, because it is all about you and who you are and what you want. So think about where you need a clearing there, where maybe you've been a little too other-directed, and now you want to reclaim some of that energy and juice for yourself, for your own vitality to increase, right? And know that that is preparation as we prepare the vision of what our systems really need and what they can handle in Virgo Pisces. We go into Aries Libra to determine our identity and purpose as an individual within the Libra context of relationships. Once we kind of figure those things out, make a few choices, make a few commitments, that's when these Taurus Scorpio eclipses are going to hit. And the thing about eclipses is there's an interruption in the light. There's a break to realign, like a doctor would break your arm to realign it properly. Okay, so there's an interruption in the flow of light that we want to tap into to reset ourselves, our neural pathways, the negative patterns around food, sex, and money on the Taurus side, and any negative patterns around our power and oppression and giving away our power in certain ways. That's the Scorpio side. The other thing I tell people about that dynamic is Taurus is the earth and the garden and the food and the flowers and life and juiciness and wonderfulness, right? Scorpio is the breath of God that breathes life into it. Nothing happens without that. We can till the soil and we can do everything, but we are not the breath of God. So we are working out that spirit in human form thing again, right? But also tapping into what is most valuable, what is most critical for you, and what is vital to your body and your soul. We're not talking mind and spirit right now. We're talking body and soul for the next year and a half. You've got to get clear on that part too.
Okay, that's good. Body and soul for the next year and a half. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the better you anchor or upgrade your spiritual practices, the better that will go. Any physical practices you can pick up along the way, drinking more water. We talked a lot about that over the Olokun weekend. There's a lot of people don't even drink water, but I will add ginger. I'll do lavender. I do pineapple mint is really wonderful. You can pick flavors you like and put some fruit in that water and get it down, but you need water. You know, and so we're building towards something. In the Venus cycle, we're still releasing all the way to October. We're clearing different aspects of self that no longer work, no longer apply. And then as of October, all the way from October to July, August of 23, we're going to be reclaiming. And so the other thing I tell people about right now in the next couple of months, between now and October, is to get yourself together around individual and relationships, get yourself together around home and work. The better you do with that, then the more creative freedom you're going to have in 23, 24. The more social freedom you're going to have during those years. The more community and fun and outgoingness will be a lot smoother because you'll be grounded in something solid for yourself. So the better we choose our roles and responsibilities early in this year, then early in next year, we can really start birthing some new relationships, partnerships, and collaborations. So I will give you all this, too. Write these ones down. These are our prayers. It's for reciprocal relationships, profitable partnerships, creative collaborations, conscious contracts. because I feel like a lot of the relationships and partnerships that are ending, the contracts were not made consciously. We were under duress or we had other things on our mind or whatever. All those are null and void. So conscious contracts are coming back around, and flourishing friendships. Those are my 5 for now. I keep adding to them. But there's a new path and direction that we can move in that is Taurus-based, which means the beauty way, which means build it slowly and methodically in a natural, organic way as well. We don't force, we don't do synthetic, we don't do fake or phony, none of that. And just know that this is, everybody that likes to keep it real is going to be real happy. It's only the fake and phony people that are going to have a hard way to go. And that sounds personal to me. We keep it real around here. So these cycles come back around. The eclipse cycles are 10 and 20 years. So that 2002 to 2005, that 20-year cycle, done. It's run its course. Whatever your level of comfort was, think Taurus, your creature comforts, your personal security, whatever you put in place in 02 to 03, 04, back in those early years, had a midpoint in 2012 to 14, got hit in a different kind of way, awakened, and stirred up again. And here we are, again, with Taurus Scorpio energy, that we're resetting. Like I said, with the eclipse, we get to break the real line. So they do have, a little unknown essence to them. But at the same time, if you can track any parts of your body and soul work during those years, the years of, acquiring and letting go, building things and bringing them into form, or totally blowing things out of the water and disintegrating and starting back from zero. We all have those years in our lives where we go back to 0 point of possibilities and we feel like we've lost everyone and everything. That's a Taurus Scorpio moment usually. And we rebirth. So I always say Scorpio is raw truth and Sagittarius is higher truth. So in the zodiac in order, we're brought to our knees first. We have to go within to our soul, and then the raw truth reveals and leads us to that higher truth and expression of it, right? But we have to go within first, and then we can come out and tell a story about it. But that's where we're at. We're developing the next narrative that we want to live into. So again, think bigger. Think bigger than you have been. Because this is what I say, all the cracks in the system, they're so big we can slip right on through them. This system is crumbling. So what we want to be working on is what's coming up in its place. We always talk about getting rid of this, that, and the other, and this person or that person, but then what's going to rise up in its place? Be careful what you wish for. So we want to be on that solution side of things. I think, how's everyone feeling? Do we have any more questions? Because we could definitely do the meditation and a drum journey, but how's everyone feeling? Dr. Rashawn, how are you feeling?
I'm good. Anybody on the call? Can you see how many people are on the call?
I cannot. I'm sorry. But *6, you can unmute and mute yourself back. So if
Thank you. This was great.
Yay.
What was the third one? I got after profitable partnerships.
Reciprocal relationships, profitable partnerships, creative collaborations, probably.
Creative collaborations. Thank you.
And conscious contracts were 2 C's. And flourishing friendships.
Hi, Kelly. This is Deborah calling from Tulu,
Mexico. Thank you, baby, for being here. Are we going to do a meditation? Are y'all feeling up to it? You got another 10 minutes in you?
Yes, I'd say let's go to the meditation.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. This is what I picked for this watery flow, and I hope that it really speaks to you. Again, I always feel like these things come up for a reason and that there is something specific for everyone. And after the call, I should say before we go into this zone, because it might have us in a zone, then I will get the replay together and get this email issue resolved, and then I'll be able to send out what we've talked about tonight. So thank you all for being here. All right, let's take some deep breaths, let go of all the energies and cycles, and we'll see what we can open up for. Taking back the river. This is reclaiming our flow, our energetic flow, creative flow, and Cassie, all of it. The life, death, life, nature causes fate, relationships, love, creativity, and all else to move in large and wild patterns, one following the other in this order: creation, increase, power, dissolution, death, incubation, and back to creation. Creation, increase, power, dissolution, death, incubation. We are in an incubation phase right now, prior to creation. Theft or absence of ideas, thoughts, feelings can be the outcome of a disturbed flow. Here is how to take back the river. One, we receive nurturance to begin to clean up the river. Troublesome contaminants in the river are obvious when a woman turns away sincere compliments about her creative life. There may be only a little pollution, as in the offhanded, "Oh, how nice you are to give such a compliment." Or there may be massive trouble on the river. "Oh, this old thing, you must be out of your mind." And also there's the defensive, "Of course I'm wonderful. How could you fail to notice?" These are all signs of an injured animus, which is our positive masculine. Good things flow into the woman, but are immediately poisoned. Deep breath. To reverse the phenomenon, a woman practices taking in the compliment, even if initially it looks as though she is lunging at it, in order to keep it for herself this time. She savors it, fights off the malignant animus that wants to tell the giver of the compliment, "That's what you don't really know all the mistakes she's made," etc., etc. Negative complexes are particularly attracted to the juiciest ideas. Deep breath. The most revolutionary and wonderful ideas, and the most rampant forms of creativity. So there are no two ways about it. We must summon up a clear acting animus, and the older one must be laid to rest. That is, sent down to the archival layer of the psyche, where we file away deflated and folded impulses and catalysts. There they become artifacts rather than actors or effects. So receiving nurturance, take it in. Receive the light, receive the love, receive the blessings, open to receive. The next thing is to respond. That is how to clear the river too. Wolves lead immensely creative lives. They make dozens of choices every day, decide this way or that, estimate how far, concentrate on their prey, calculate the chances, seize opportunity, react powerfully to accomplish their goals. Their abilities to find the hidden, to coalesce intentions, to focus on the desired outcome, and to act in their own behalf to gain it are the exact characteristics required for creative follow-through in humans. Deep breath. We need to take that time to estimate how far, concentrate on what we're doing, calculate the chances, seize the opportunity at that right timing for you, the individual. To create, one must be able to respond. Creativity is the ability to respond to all that goes on around us, to choose from the hundreds of possibilities of thought, feeling, action, and reaction that arise within us, and to put these together into a unique response, expression, or message that carries the moment, the passion, and the meaning. In this sense, loss of our creative selves means finding ourselves limited to only one choice, divested of suppressing or censoring feelings and thoughts, not acting, not saying, not doing, not being, not responding. Deep breath. That's when you know the river is blocked. We want to be able to respond naturally. The next thing is to be wild. That is how we clear the river. In its original form, the river does not flow in polluted. We manage that. The river does not dry up. We block it. If we want to allow it its freedom, we have to allow our creative lives to be let loose, to stream, letting anything come, initially censoring nothing. That is creative life. It is made up of divine paradox. It is an entirely interior process. To create, one must be willing to be stone stupid, to sit upon a throne on top of a jackass and spill rubies from one's mouth. Then the river will flow. Then we can stand in the stream of it raining down. We can put out our skirts and shirts to catch as much as we can carry. Be wild. So I always look at being wild as being natural, your natural self. And it is God's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. So be receptive to that. The next thing is to begin. This is how we clear a polluted river. If you are scared to fail, I say begin already. Fail if you must. Pick yourself up and start again. If you fail again, you fail. Begin again. It is not the failure that holds us back, but the reluctance to begin over again that causes us to stagnate. If you are scared, so what? If it's going to leap out and bite you, then for heaven's sake, quit already. Let your fear leap out and bite you so you can get on with it. You will get past it. The fear will pass. In this case, it is better if you meet it head on, feel it, and get it over with than to keep using it to avoid cleaning up the flow of the river. So just begin. That's always a big step. In our Aries department is where we can get things started. It's not necessarily where we finish anything, but this is where we can get things started. Sometimes we just need that first step, and it leads you to the next step. Let's be open and receptive to that. Deep breath. The next thing is to protect your time. This is how to banish pollutants in the flow. I know a fierce painter that has this glyph. I am working today and not receiving visitors. I know you think this does not mean you because you are my banker, my agent, or my best friend, but it does. Another sculptor says, do not disturb unless I have won the lottery or Jesus has just been sighted on the Old Taos Highway. As you can see, a well-developed animus has excellent boundaries. We talked about that too. Your time, your energy, your resources, protect them and tend to the boundaries right now when you can. Deep breath. Stay with it. This is how we banish the pollution. We don't give up or give in. By insisting nothing will stop us from exercising the well-integrated animus, by continuing our soul-spinning, wing-making ventures, our art, our psychic mending and sewing, whether we feel strong or not, whether we feel ready or not, if necessary, by tying ourselves to the mast, the chair, the desk, the tree, the cactus, wherever we create, it is essential, even if often painful, to put in the necessary time, to not skirt the difficult tasks inherent in striving for mastery and for self-mastery. Deep breath. A true creative life burns in more ways than one. Negative complexes that arise along the way are banished and transformed. Your dreams will guide you the last part of the way by putting your foot down once and for all and by saying, I love my creative life more than I love cooperating with my own oppression. Deep breath. I love my creative life more than I love cooperating with my own oppression. If we were to abuse our children, social services would show up at our doors. If we were to abuse our pets, the Humane Society would come and take us away. But there is no creativity patrol nor soul police to intervene if we insist on starving our own souls. There is just us. We are the only ones to watch over the soul self and the heroic animus. It is bitterly harsh to water them once a week or once a month or even once a year. They each have their own circadian rhythms. They need us and need the water of our craft every day. Deep breath. So get in the flow, activate it, get it started, and then stay with it. Even when it lulls a little bit, stay with it. Next thing is to protect your creative life. If you would avoid the starved soul, name the problem for what it is and fix it. Practice your work every day. Then let no thought, no man, no woman, no mate, no friend, no religion, no job, no crabby inner voice force you into a famine. If necessary, show your incisors like a wolf. Lash those teeth and protect your creative life. Then it says craft your real work. This is where we all have an idea of our purpose. Maybe you want to ask for the drum journey to reveal what your specialty is. What are you going to specialize in? What do you want to go narrow and deep with? How do you craft your real work? Build that hut of warmth and knowing. Pull your energy from over there to over here. Insist on a balance between pedestrian responsibility, which is everyday stuff, and personal rapture, the next level. Protect the soul. Insist on quality creative life. Let neither your own complexes, your culture, intellectual detritus, nor any high-sounding aristocratic political la-la steal it away from you. Craft your real work. Insist on quality nutrients, Then we lay out the nourishment for the creative life. Okay, remember, it's alive within you. This is why we're tapping into our imagination with all this Piscean energy. We're going into our third eye, into our pineal gland to call in the next vision, a higher vision. And so we have to feed that like we feed our orishas. Although many things are good and nutritious for the soul, most fall into Wild Woman's 4 basic food groups: time, belonging, passion, and sovereignty. Stock up, because these clean the river. When the river is cleansed again, it is free to flow. A woman's creative output increases and thereafter continues in natural cycles of increase and decrease and increase again. So tap into your rhythm. That's another thing Virgo Pisces is good for. We tap into our own individual rhythm there. Nothing will be carried off or fouled for long. Whatever contaminants occur naturally are neutralized efficiently. Claim that in your boundary system. Any contaminants that come near you are neutralized immediately. The river returns as our system of nourishment, one we can enter without fear, one we can drink from without worry, one beside which we can calm the tormented soul of La Llorona, who is healing her children and restoring them to her. We can dismantle the polluting process of the factory, seat a new animus. We can live our lives as we wish and as we see fit, there beside the river, holding our many babies in our arms and showing them their reflections in the clear, clear water. Deep breath. So with that, I want you to go to your happy place in nature. Ask your main spirit guide. Most of you know I have Ruby Red Wolf. Hold it down at the doorway while I go into liminal space and ask for that word or symbol or sentence that you can come back with that will help you with the next step of whatever's on your heart right now. What is the medicine you need? What is the message? Look for animals to show up, your angels or archangels, your ancestors, and any of your spirit guides. They come when you are comfortable in your happy place in nature. There's no industry, no people, no buildings, just you and Mother Earth. And we'll go in for about 7 minutes. That's your call back. This is where you wrap up the communication and make any offerings of gratitude. If you need to come back, you can always come back into that space and complete a conversation if you were in the middle of it. I'm very grateful for everyone that showed up. If anyone wants to share the medicine of their journey, you're welcome to, but most people just stay in the zone. So I understand that too. But I want to thank everyone for taking the time out for yourself to go within like this and make the connection to your flow. Once and for all, let's upgrade the flow.
Kelly, I want to thank you for taking this time and space to be with us. And the piece that you read, is that something that you could email to us?
Absolutely. There's a PDF for sure.
Okay. I think that what I take away from this that was very profound for me is the understanding that I don't have to go and pick up garbage on the beach. I just have to clean up my own river.
Ashe.
That was very, very
powerful
for me. Yeah, that I am the river.
That's right. And any connection to water connects you to all water. There's only one water. And it's receptive. It's responsive. So as you touch that water, you know how Mikiotas work, with the words on the water? I have those stickers on everything. Make your own and create that vibration. But know that anything you do with water on your own is contributing to the whole. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, it's 17 minutes after the hour. Kelly, just in case people didn't get the email, could you give people how to get in touch with you?
Yeah, Kelly@karmictools.com is my email, which is working for receiving. Right now I'm working on sending. It should be resolved by tomorrow. Kelly@karmictools.com. And then KellyMBeard.com is my earth medicine website. The YouTube is Karmic Tools, and the Instagram is The Sacred Sandbox. So it's where I post the forecast and the updates and the little special things like this. There's enough people asking for it. I probably will make a video and upload it to YouTube because people need the reminder, like you said, what little they can do. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed we just can't do nothing, and then it's that fight or freeze thing that kicks in, and we don't get anything done. So this way, if we can baby step it and make it a little less overwhelming, more people will contribute. So we open up the flow for everyone and hold space till the others wake up and get here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
And for everybody that showed up from the group, thank you for being here. Thank everybody on the line.
Please, yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Time.
And we'll do it again. We'll talk about how to keep it going and check in with the energies either monthly or quarterly or something, whatever works for your group. That would be fun, too, to keep it going.
Okay. Thank you
I would be happy
much.
to drop in anytime. All right. Thank you, everyone. Reach out with any afterthoughts or questions or aha moments. I love to hear about those. And they do usually come a little later. All right, baby. Be well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Peace and love.
Thank you. Good night.